أهلا السلام عليكم. I hope that my video and audio clear. Please just reply to me if my yes, we have a couple of visitors and audience now. Just waiting Mr. Aqil to join with us. I'll just WhatsApp him now and he will join with us. Yes, he's there. Mr. Baaghil, we're waiting for you. Please just ask for send a request so we can just add you in the live and we can start one of the hottest topic. Mr. Baaghil, if you can just add, I think I will add from my side. Mr. Baaghil, yes, just a minute. Okay, okay, he will join with us now. A couple of seconds and prepare my homeworks. And of course, Mr. Baaghil. هلا السلام عليكم. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very exciting, by the way.
I can barely hear you. What's going on?
Sorry?
I can barely hear you.
Really? What about now? My voice okay?
No.
Clear?
Let me get my headset. Hold on.
Yeah, please. Yes. Okay. So, inshallah, our live will be for 60 minutes, and we'll give the audience the chance to ask Mr. Baaghil for the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's depending on our debate and our discussion with Mr. Baaghil about a couple of hot titles and topics. I'm very exciting. I'm prepared myself with a couple of books. I want to share it with you. Okay.
Sure.
My voice is clear now, Baaghil? Okay?
Absolutely. So here's a question I have because I'm not a tech savvy guy. So my followers on Instagram are able to see this.
Yes, of course, because they have just to go to your account. They will see you as live, and they can see both of us. Okay. So shall we start, Mr. Baaghil?
Yes, I'm all set.
Okay. First of all, thank you for your humbleness for accepting my invitation to do this chat, to do this live on Instagram. And really, I don't expect that coming from you because, mashallah, you are a very busy man, especially with the Clubhouse. And by the way, with a couple of tweets, I just figured out for last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all of them just talking about you. You know, you become yes. So
thank you so much.
You become like a phenomenon. يعني mashallah. So
thank you so much.
Within 60 minutes, Mr. Baaghil, I want to get the most benefit of this 60 minutes with you. So I have a couple of questions, and of course we open the floor for the audience if they have questions. And just before starting, and please just a little bit if you can introduce yourself, especially with my audience, they are maybe new. Who's Baaghil? Jafar doing this interview with maybe someone is new for them, but for me, friends, he's not new. He's adding a really big impact in my knowledge. And please just follow him, Mr. Baaghil in Clubhouse. Please go there and just listen and enjoy and get all the benefit from this guy. So please, Mr. Baaghil, if you can introduce a little bit about yourself, your background, your experience. I think you have a couple of books, as I think. So if you can share that with us and with the audience, please, go ahead.
First of all, Jafar, I think you're a very kind man for saying good words about me. Not a lot of people say good words about me, but that's very kind of you. Well, my name is Saeed Baaghil, and I'm originally, my origin goes back as Arab Hadrami. And my forefathers left 150 years ago. So I was raised in the West and in America, precisely, and Europe. And I'm very much focused on brand. I'm a brand consultant and author of 5 books and co-authored 1. And I've appeared on several books authored by Dan Hill on emotionomics and Libby Gill, which is Capture the Market Share, And I've spoke around the globe, cities like Paris, New York, and Hong Kong, and so forth. So is Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I spoke in Bahrain. I remember that
Mashallah.
very well.
Mm-hmm.
That was about in 2017. I was very fortunate to be in Bahrain and speak in Bahrain in an event called Brand Summit. So
Okay,
that's
great.
in a nutshell about me.
Perfect. It's not nutshell. I think you have a lot, but I squeeze the time for you. I know. So our title is Brand Back to Basics. What what triggered me, especially in your clubhouse, Mr. Baaghil, is you are digging in deep. You know, that's what make people just like stop and rethink again about couple of titles, couple of topics, couple of definitions that we are not 100% sure about it, because people like mix up between brand and marketing, between branding and design. It's like cocktail we're having here, unfortunately. But Ba'aqil, when he came to Clubhouse especially, he redefined, he presents the titles and the terminology in the right way. And you have your references, race, etc., and whatever that you raising, for example, titles of books, I directly refer to that book, and read it and just, what they call it, refill my knowledge and information. So come back to basic. I want from you, Mr. Baqi, mashallah, you are expert in this, how we can define brand and branding. As simple as that, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, Jafar, which is a very sensitive subject through the whole entire definition process. Um, Unfortunately, let's address the problem before the definition. There's a
Sure.
misconception of brand in terms of what brand being as a logo, for example, and to
Right.
most, brand is just a logo dealt with a marketing department. But brand is actually much bigger than that. Brand impacts the whole organizations across different functions. So if we're going to start with the definition of brand itself from my line of thoughts or my work and my books, um, to start with brand is that to give an example, business is business.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you are in Kleenex or if you're in chips, whether if you're in oil business, business is business. So you're selling oil. But the
Mm-hmm.
point is, everybody is selling oil. You're
Right.
selling sugar. Everybody's selling sugar. So you're saying, I set up my factory and I am selling sugar to supermarkets and to wholesalers. I'm trying to take it as basic as possible so people can
Okay.
grasp the opportunity of the definition itself.
Mm-hmm.
So at that stage, when you say I'm selling sugar, so is every million other people are selling sugar.
Right.
Million other people are selling oil. Million other people are selling coffee. Brand comes in to play a role that is the distinctive role. It
Distinctive.
defines the business. It
Mm-hmm.
defines the business for clear value that makes it stand different than everyone else. So at the end of the day, when we work on brands and define brands, we're defining the values that make someone different than the others. That's one. Second, we're addressing the target audience on what's relevant to them instead of having a blanket statement. Third, we're delivering an experience, a value experience, not just advertising and noise, but a value
Mm-hmm.
experience that grabs the attention of the audience and makes the audience understand that this brand is relevant to something they hold dearly or they can relate to.
Okay.
And in terms of branding, now most people call it branding strategy. If I may say this, ladies and gentlemen, there's something that is very clear. Brand and branding are two different things and they support each other. Brand is the idea defined by distinctive value that delivers the value. Branding is a relationship you create with different stakeholders, whether if it's your customer, whether if it's your board, whether if it's your management. That branding is a process that's endless, that continues to build. Why are you relevant?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So okay, just I will what they call it, read it again. which is brand is like a distinctive, which is based on three things, which is value, your target audience, and user experience, right? That's for brand. And for branding, it's more about relationship with your stakeholders, right?
Yes, creating a meaning relationship. I mean,
Okay.
it's through different types of content. I mean, you can talk about TV ads, for example. TV ads are not usually relevant in brand building because TV ads are more of an awareness, which falls under advertising. So there's a misconception of what advertising is and what branding is. And advertising is awareness, and branding is creating a meaningful relationship. Branding is a journey. Advertising is short-lived.
Say it again, please, because I'm writing it down.
No problem. Branding is a journey. It's an endless journey. You do that every day. Advertising is awareness, short-lived. So it pops up. It reminds me that I'm here, but then I can forget advertising in 30 seconds or in 5 days. What branding does, it continues that relationship for me to remember this brand constantly.
Okay, it's like advertising or market is like a doses. Between time to time, you have to, to inject in your target audience in the market. Whereas branding is it's your soil, is your spirit. It should be always there. There's no off. Advertising or marketing, it can be on off, but the branding should be always on, right?
Absolutely. Branding is continuous and endless and doesn't stop. If it stops, you're dead.
Okay, so
it's
that's
like your heart.
Yes, it's 100%, because it's like it's like the air, you breathe it. Without air, you can't live. So that's coming to my second question, which is people talking, especially. Just allow me to ask this hard question, which is, if people aware about the importance of branding, just regardless about the mix-up concept about branding and marketing, just assume that all the people in, for example, in Gulf region or in Arab region or MENA region, they're aware. And I assume they have to be aware. Why? Because number one, they are open market. Number two, there are multi-international agencies came to our region. Okay, JWT, Mamigogilvi, WBB, the huge empire, and we have universities, we have doctors, we have all of these inputs. Why still, till now, Mr. Baaghil, we cannot find this definitions clear like a crystal, and we mixed up between these terminology? Why?
Well, if I may say this, and whether if I'm politically correct or off, that's definitely not the issue for me, Jafar. As you know me, I have no filters, so I say the truth. I think the big fours find brand as very essential in terms of driving the force of building process. And the big four realize that they have to capture the opportunity through different branding consultancy or agencies across the globe. Example, EY and so on started acquiring local branding agencies in Milan and New York. The misconception is driven by the apathy, the lack of interest on learning the process of what brand is, and these companies are very aware of the value the brand brings. They understand that the assets is more intellectual, but in order for them to dominate, they need to make you and a million others feel the irrelevance of brand. So that's why I come in continuously and trying to raise the awareness on what brand is and how brand plays a role. Especially right now, Jafar, if I may say this, in my new book, The Original, and reason I called The Original the Jafar is because I'm taking the Arabian tribes as an example. What I'm saying in this book is do not listen to what titles carry, listen to what values bring. We're often easily sold to titles and false perception, but we fail all the time when we see values because we don't buy into values. So if big companies are propagating that brand is an extended arm of marketing, do not believe that. Brand is a cross function. Brand is a responsibility of every organization and every part of the organization, not just marketing. Second, and far more important, sir, we're moving now from macro markets to micro markets. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
A key example of this trend pillar is Clubhouse. Clubhouse is changing. Clubhouse is changing how the narrative is today. Plus, which is very important, Twitter is moving into space. Instagram is currently, today, it's working on fulfilling an element that Clubhouse is offering. So what does that mean? That means we're moving from a market approach, a macro marketing approach. What is a macro marketing approach? It's sort of speak to everyone, sell to everyone, offer to everyone. The micro approach is you better know what your segment is and who your segment is and how you're addressing them. Your segment, it could be 1,500 people, 3,000, 4,000 people. No longer in the micro approach, the 1 million approach works, the 1 million audience, because there's nothing called for everyone. There's something called specialty over generalists. So this is what we're facing right now. And I think honestly, we're moving from the margin of volume versus value in business modeling, and that might work for e-commerce. But experts like us, we are supposed to address a certain segment, and we're supposed to provide our service to a certain segment, and our voice needs to be heard. It's no longer about our Rolex watch and our Ferraris and our suits and what languages you speak. It's more about transparency and the values you deliver, because that's what sets you through than the rest. So you can sit there and Twitter and so on and propagate how great you are, but your greatness is not measured unless the values are met. And this is the new world, sir. And that's the world that I'm excited about, because the false perception that was existed before that created this misconception around branding, marketing, and advertising, it's falling apart, because the truth will always remain true, and the truth will always sustain a longer journey.
I believe that, Mr. Aqil, especially with your experience in a Clubhouse, that it's really worth to study. Why? Because the personal branding is very effective. And even one of the TED Talks, I forget her name, talking about how personal branding, it will create more impactful than corporate branding in some certain sectors. That's mean we as like individuals, with you, with the expert, with the responsible, with the feeling of responsibility, we have to create that awareness among all these, target audience. Without that, as you said, the big fish, okay, the big corporate, they will just dominate in our economy about all the knowledge. But now it's not. I don't think so. It will continue in this line, because we have open source. We have all the knowledge is open for us. You just go to YouTube and get whatever that you want. We have that MOOC, which is massive open online courses. We have Harvard Business Review. We have a lot of zillions of information and knowledge. We can just get it and digest it, and just we have to apply it. That's the challenge. But unfortunately, as you said, that we have to create that wave, a new wave in our economy, starting from individual to corporate to government. We can't just wait to get the law or regulation, whatever that from the top. We have to create from the bottom. And you started directly from Clubhouse, Mr. Baaghil, and a lot of people, they just before 2 to 3 days, you will interview Baaghil? Okay, what time? So they are just looking for this interview. Why? Even if they can just go to Clubhouse and engaging with you. Why? Because you're building your personal branding for Mr. Baaghil, and the same thing, everybody can just work hard and create his own ripple effect in his sector, in his field. And I think this is our responsibility as Mr. Baaghil, Jafar, Huda, Salim, whoever, everybody. So my question is, with all this open sources knowledge, with all this information, with all these books we have, so why till now we can't apply it with our clients or with our governments or with our community? The knowledge is free, the knowledge is free, guys. So just buy whatever and go to courses with even Martin Neumeyer. I have like a course for brand strategy, Fabian, the Cristo. We have a lot, zillions of knowledge, zillions of open sources, but till now we cannot apply that knowledge in our community. Why? Because of the big companies, Mr. Baaghil? That's my question.
No, it's not the big companies alone. It's
Okay.
the battle of the comfort zone. Everyone is inside the comfort zone. Everybody loves how it is. Even if
Right.
the trend is dying out, it's securing their leadership. So what can you do? Once you come in and you want to disrupt all this, they feel it's threatened. And then you get personal attacks. In my case, for example, I've written many case studies on brands in the Middle East, and some of these head of marketing took it very sensitive. Rather than debating with me on the subject, they attacked me personally, which is absolutely fine for me. It's not a loss. For me, is what I'm sharing is to raise awareness and rise up across the region and what brand is and what branding is and what marketing is. Now, if we're going to talk back and say, what are the cycles of relevance in all this? Basically, the battle is not from the big four and so on. The big four are acquiring individuals to cover up the missing gap. So we can easily be being bought into titles. We can easily bought into ideas. But for example, if you see WC or BCG or McKinsey, these are big names.
Right.
It's easy to buy into the big name without understanding the value. My battle is this, Jafar. Don't buy in names, buy into value, then discover the value, and then drive the names. Because that's when you find out the truth. I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
40,000 people applied for Harvard last year. This year, 43,000 people applied for Harvard. Education. The education system across the globe is changing.
Right.
Harvard offers online classes to sell only the Harvard brand. They did last year 25,000 classes. This year they're hitting 45,000 classes, just online, which is a 2 to 3 days, based on the Harvard's attributes. And all before Harvard started hitting this brand educational institutions, it was the focus of curriculum and outcomes. So this is the curriculum. You can only find it in Harvard, and the outcome is this. The second layer of all this is Bill Clinton, Obama, and all these names graduated from Harvard. So it added value to the name itself.
Right.
This has packaged Harvard to be a prestigious institution. Okay?
Right.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I think Harvard is one of the best examples of branded educational institution. But if we go further into this, and if Harvard continues offering the online classes, I think Harvard would commoditize their purpose of being a prestigious institution, because unfortunately, Jafar, Tom, Dick, and Harry that gets online courses posts on LinkedIn that I'm a Harvard graduate, and all of a sudden he switches his profile into a Harvard graduate, which is a 2 days program, and throws away his 4 years education with University of Bahrain or Ain University in Cairo or any one of these. So what I like about this whole entire journey is that we are realizing in our insights that the educational system has become very prominent. The big four are trying to capture the opportunity of brand, because they understand the asset around intellectual properties and how these intellectual properties are able to penetrate a mass movement of people. If you look at political, socially, or education revolutions, they're always driven by a message, and that message is brand driven. It's a point of reference. In my modeling the other day, I debated on 2 models with a few experts in America, or which is the point of the POF, point of reference, and then the unique value benefit. So there's the unique selling proposition or USP, which is a feature. And I'm always saying, well, the feature is static. What's the continuous journey?
Yeah. And the same thing, I just remember Steve Jobs when he's saying about markets, he said market is not about the features, it's about the values, because features, even your competitors can come up with better features than what you have as a product or services, whereas value cannot copy cut, you know, values,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but in our model findings for the unique value unique value benefit is that the unique value benefit needs to start from the manufacturing process or from the moment that you walk into your office. Unfortunately, the unique value proposition is a feature, so a feature is static. UVP is relevance. And my framework has always been about being relevant rather than static. So we came up with the UVB approach. So I think branding is so dynamic, but unfortunately, the understanding of the industry itself and how this industry evolved and how it's practiced is what the misconception is, and that's actually
based in your observation, Mr. Baaghil, in our region, just we have to focus a little bit in Gulf region. So what we have is not branding, is not brands. What we have actually is a product or services. Just give it whatever that names, but it's not branding, because referring to Simon Sinek when talking about start with why, the golden circle, you have to start with your cause, you know, to build your own tribe, which is internal culture inside the corporation, and external culture with your target audience. All these written in these books is not available. We can't see it in real life, especially in our region. Why? Because of absence of knowledge? I don't think so. We have, the knowledge is free, everybody can just access, and you know, what's the reason? Because they, as you said, it's comfort zone. They don't want to challenge themselves, they don't want to read, they don't want to improve. But come on, it's a competitive market. If you don't enhance yourself, if you don't want to develop yourself, the other competitors, they will come and take your share in the market. So how this, I don't know. So we have like a schizophrenia in brand, yani, Jack and Hyde. So you know this is right, and you have the ability to do the right, but you don't want it. You don't apply it. You don't take an action. Where there's a threat through coming from international brands. And just an example, Mr. Baaghil, and just I want your feedback in this. When we're talking about brands, usually always talking about American brands or maybe some European brands, and very, very, very few about Arabic brands. And we have all the platforms in terms of the wealth, in terms of the minds, in terms of education. We have everything, but till now we cannot even list 5 to 6 strong brands in Arabic comparing with international brands. Well, where's the problem there?
Jafar, the problem is false perception. We do not appreciate fundamentals. We don't look into long-term journeys. We look into short-term. Right. We're traders, Jafar. We have to be very honest. We're
traders. We are traders, right? We are traders.
Yeah, we are not. Well, we're not business people. We just know how to wear the suits of the business people. We think of the business thoughts. We hardly apply it. So you cannot solve this problem unless you evolve to a business thinking. We are traders, and even our FMCGs right now in the market as CPGs are traders. Even everything is trading. Short-lived with short-term sighted. It's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like we have shops with a label. We call it a brand label, which is design of logo. Just label your shops. That's it. We have a brand, but unfortunately, we don't have brands. We have, as you said, traders. And I think Imad, he said, what we have is just commodities with logos. That is.
Yeah, I just read what Imad Bawazir said. Yes, he's right. What we have is just commodities with logos. It's absolutely true, because we're not buying into the value. We're building up perception. I mean, look at Instagram. I mean, we're on Instagram right now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of culinary art and fashion across Instagram. And all these fashions, most of them are struggling to sell what their proposition is. It's because they don't build on proposition, they build on image. Image, which is the 50% journey of what a brand is in terms of look and feel. But if you build upon your proposition and your values, I think you can build the distinctive value that the world needs. I work with brands in Milan. Um, I've worked with Boji, I've worked with Savele, and these are brands that are delivering values. It's not a brand that just makes noise and look what we have. They have distinctive values, they have distinctive features, they understand what it is they're going to bring to the world, and they understand the competition and the market diameters, and they understand that whatever they're doing on the short term will pay off in the long term. But unfortunately, that sort of thinking does not exist in our region. So what we're doing in the region, even on the startup level, is we're selling products, we package them, we put great pictures, we get a photographer, and then we look, okay, wait, what's wrong? And then when somebody comes in, like myself, and says, you know what, you should fix this, you should do this, they take it very personal. And they feel it's criticism. This is not a crisis. This is a dilemma. This is the drawback of growing. This is a big issue. You have to separate who you are as a person versus your business. You are an employee to your business. The business does not serve you. You serve the business.
I think there's like another point of view from, I think, Miss Nado. She said, come on, guys, we do have some quality brands, though. We don't deny. I'm talking about if you can list about the quantity of the quality of the brands we have in MENA region, just an example, compared with other, part of the world. That's our debate. That's our issue.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I would answer Ms. Nado, I think she's right. But that depends also on Ms. Nado's understanding of what brand is. So if we're going to scale it and put it into the matrix of global brands, no, Ms. Nado, we don't have a brand that delivers values, but it have a brand that sells perceptions. Perception is important. I'm not disagreeing. But what keeps a brand sustainable is values, not perception. Perception is short-term, values is long-term. If you play both of them together, you will have a brand that has a footfall. And clear for brand is about delivering perception and values, not just one end.
Okay, just before going to, I think, Ali, for example, we have a good brand, I think, maybe Zain in Kuwait, for the telecommunication company, because when they launched, before a couple of years, Zain, they link their products and services with value, which is a beautiful word. They come up, for example, with kids songs, with initiatives, CSR. So always when you say Zain, it's linked with some values, and that's the brand. Brand's equal reputation. So when you link the brand name with values, that become the brand. And especially for Zain, for a couple of years, I don't know how Zain's work in Saudi Arabia, but for example, Bahrain is different. It's not like the quality is not like active like in Kuwait. Kuwait, they are in the top, I think, as a brand when they link their name with values and activities. I don't know if you are aware about Zain brand.
I am very aware of Zain. Unfortunately, Zain expanded too fast across the world, especially in the Middle East and East Africa. And they bought Airtime India. They acquired Airtime India in the middle of in the middle of the 2000s. They acquired Airtime India, which owned a lot of the cell phone companies across East Africa, Kenya, and so on. Extremely aware of Zain. Then they shrunk in size because they went to expand too fast without understanding the model they bring into the market. Then when they went to Saudi, they wanted to move to the niche segment of Saudi, so they were offering Ferraris and all that stuff when they first launched, and now they are they're the lower tier of cell phone companies. It's so dynamic how somebody goes from a higher tier to a lower tier. You know what I mean? So the whole entire transition is a failure of marketing, not a failure of what Zain does. Zain in Saudi is a very small scale market. They've been struggling for a very long time. They've tried too many different avenues and introduce many different business verticals. Um, I just don't see the. I think the name reputation, the brand name reputation management is severely needed now. Zain does not hold any relevance, doesn't hold strong equity. In fact, Zain within the Middle East itself have lost the wave of the greatest opportunity when they scaled bigger and they downsized. So when you scale big and you downsize, you are actually damaging your reputation. You're
Right.
you're defining your brand as a problem. You know, so before you scale down, you need to understand some people out there are modeling. They split the brand into three so it doesn't get damaged. What Zayn did is went straight down, and unfortunately, this is due to the fact of the brand understanding. The complex of brand is much bigger than just uh, advertising or communication
Right.
through fixed reputations.
Perfect. There's a question from Mr. Ali. He said, "Do you think that the designers do not work in their thoughts and the ideas, but they are controlled by the mind of the client?" What do you think, Mr. Baqi?
Well, I think there's a misconception of what designers can do. This whole tying knot between designers and brand, it's great. I mean, brand is science and art, but what designers are failing on is understanding the fundamental science of brand. So whatever they do and work on is short-lived and sold less than anything else. Is because designers' perception is always about art, skipping the bigger science of what brand and how brands can impact. Um, I wish designers will evolve to understand that science comes before art.
But do you think that, especially because we have a huge difference between art and design? Design is coming to solve a problem, whereas an art is like an expression. Okay, maybe sometimes to overlap that we have a gray area between design and art, but design should be solved problem based in the brief, based in the brand persona, etc., etc. You know, like archetype and a long list from brand. So design should be work alongside with brand mission and vision and objective. Otherwise,
Mm.
it will not become a design; it becomes something else,
True,
right?
true. But we have to drive science first before art. Uh, it's a fundamental reasoning. Brand is not just about font and colors and shape. Brand is about holistic approach on values you meet and how those values are turning into a meaning for you. So if we're gonna work on the art side, ما حد كان تعب, you know, you sell outsell.
Just we have questions because I don't want to wait till the last minutes. Whatever that we have questions, I will just ask it. I think this from Jamila. You mentioned in one of your rooms area that FMCG are heavy in the advertising and their advertising is heavy, while in other segments you said we should build more engaging communities because we have two. Okay. Um, what's that? Bus, but is much faster. How can they build engaging communities then and manage real brands and avoid commoditizing? Yes.
Okay, Jamila has a very good question here. Um, I was just in one of the rooms just recently, and we spoke about it. Um, I am not all for advertising, like I've always said, because advertising does not build community. It's an awareness. It's short-lived, and it's 5 days, and you're forgotten. What I would drive is community building. Okay, advertising does contribute, but how would I use advertising is the biggest question. Rather than putting the advertising on the brand itself, I'll use the advertising in acquiring customers to build within the community itself. Within the community, I'll feed in my brand value because brand values work better around community and not on advertising messages. Let advertising message be an indirect to building up your community, whatever initiative you create, and let the brand exercise from the value, from the experience, be within the content community building. Why? Because when you build up a community, you're always constantly having a relationship with them.
Right.
On advertising, it's just a message and it's dissolved. So you cannot do that.
By the way, he's Jamal, not Jamil. Sorry, because maybe maybe
Yeah.
it's not clear for
Jamal,
me. Sorry,
yeah.
Jamal. Sorry. Yes, Jamal. Yes.
Jamal,
And
we
yes.
we apologize that we
Sorry.
mentioned the wrong name.
So when you say about that, I just remember what Simon Sinek said about you have to build your own tribe, because when you're building all your own tribe, you have the loyalty, you have your own community, and that will make brand sustain. And the same thing that what Seth Godin said about in his book, this marketing, about early adapters. Why we have, if we have marketing, we have to start with early adapters, because they have that loyalty to your brand. And all that loyalty coming from, as you said, from values of the brand. It's not coming from features, it's not coming from advertising. And that will tie people to the brand, the values, right?
Absolutely, Jafar. Just in a nutshell, the
Sure.
best process of building a brand is two ways: build a community, showcase your value. This is it. Absolutely, this is it. But
Building community and
showcase your values.
showcase your
Now,
values. Okay.
the old way of just a blanket statement to the whole group without identifying your target audience does not work. Your target audience is not about demographic. Your target audience is about psychographic. You need to visualize the target audience in your mind and able to see how they're going to meet the values you bring. But the idea of just defining the target audience based on demographic and income and so on, these are the trading marketing mindset, which only works on functional. Today, we're not buying into products, we're buying into ideas. We're creating relationships. So if you don't understand the target audience from the psychographic side, there is no way you will build that engagement process.
Perfect. So I have another question, Mr. Baaghil. If you have if you want to give like advice, like a tips or help for two segments, which is the decision makers, and for example, in private sector, such as for example banking and factories and all that big telecommunication companies, and the other one for those working in design and marketing. What will be your word for both of them?
Well, Jafar, it's a belief that you have to buy into first.
Okay.
Has the market changed? Yes. Has it become smaller? Yes. It is a big global market, but unfortunately also to some people who are very traditional, it's a disadvantage, and those that have progressed is an advantage. That the market has become much smaller due to digitalizing. So when we say this, so the relevance is on the voice. Don't forget,
Okay.
even if you're online, we still want the human connection. We have five senses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us with those five senses.
Right.
So if I buy from you or I buy from this platform, I would like to know who's behind the platform. What's his story? He's human. Okay, what's his story? What's his name? And so on. So it's no longer about what size company you are. That's irrelevant. Whether you're big telecom or a small life coach. A small life coach today, this world, can be as big as a telecom. Size is a myth. It's not something you measure on. Example, we serve the global market. We serve Saudi Arabia, Europe and America, and South Pacific Asia. And we're only three. And we work in different times. We work in different time zones. Example, now at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I have to sleep. When I go to sleep, Peter from New York is up. When Peter goes to sleep, Nico from Japan connects to the Pacific Asia market. And in the morning, I receive the emails and I hear the briefs from different ones.
You have
And then
24 hours coverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So three of us meet in the most common time, and we have a discussion on Zoom on what is and what is and what is and where do we see it. So we go give a quick brief, and Peter submits to the clients. any concepts submitted to the clients, and I handle the Middle East and Europe. So what I'm trying to say is that you can be so big as global today and not small, because it's not the size, it is what you deliver and how you build that perception to be a bigger organization. So when people ask me, are you a big organization? I say, how do you measure big? They say, number of people. I said, no, ask me, what do I cover?
Your
And they say, what do
impact.
you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. No, not impact. What first is, what do I cover? Which areas do I
Okay.
cover? They say, what do you cover? I say, I cover Middle East, Europe, and Americans, Pacific
Okay.
Asia. So they say, oh, you're big. I said, if that's how you measure big, fine. Second is, which types of client do I cover? I work with corporate. I don't work with startups. I don't work with founders. I work with corporate. So, and that also gives me the leverage that whatever areas I cover equals to the corporate size. So, and this helped me to position myself more of an affluent, more of the big names. Now, somebody the other day asked me and said, would you consider yourself as one of the top in the world? I told him, I would never call myself that. He said, why? It is the people who would be able to decide
Yes.
this, not me.
That the definition of a brand, as Martin Lemaya said, when people talking about the company, not company talking about themselves.
Yeah. When people say my knowledge is bringing to the table is of great value, then I know I have measured myself on a higher level. But if I sit there on Twitter, which I don't believe in Twitter, and shout day in and day out, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, it's irrelevant. I think you have another 2 questions here.
Yes, yeah, I think from doctor something. I have just established a dental clinic, and I was so oriented with raising my medical skills, but my marketing and branding and managerial skills are so low. How can you guide me and advise me? Yes.
Yes. The name is who? Who's the name?
I think Omda Sayer. Where to start? You said, yeah.
Yeah. Umda, I think the clinic today is about trust. So, in order for me to meet the trust, you need to build the social pages, and you have to start conversation. The conversation should not be about who you are as much as what you can do and how you can raise awareness across the platform. Do not think of transforming potential clients by following them and stressing on them. Okay, no, just speak, share, live, share. They'll come to you.
Right.
Clients do not like people who chase them. You lose their trust. Share, give. They'll chase you. And when they chase you, you set the price. And what you set the price, they'll buy into. That's the value of brand, sir.
Perfect. Like it. So just we have like a couple of minutes before we close. Just I have. Do you have your own website, Mr. Baaghil, with all your updates, books, and articles?
Yes, it's called askbaaghil.com. It's ASKBAAGHIL.com.
It is the same one with podcast, I think, right?
No, I use the name Baaghil across, but I have a news that we're working right now on fulfilling the startup segment. It's not going to be my name, but we're developing something for the startups because unfortunately I'm getting a lot of messages in Instagram and we're not able to fulfill them. So we're building up a startup team that they will come at the end and give us the work, and we look at it and approve, yes, you're right track or not. And we're going to put experts in front, not myself.
It's like a brand clinic.
It's sort of it's a brand clinic, and we also have a think tank, a brand think tank called the Core Code. For your audience, I think if you're in Clubhouse, you should follow the brand science. That where we're going to do our workshops, our webinars, and so on. It's a club. And then if you want to learn about new models of brand and what we do, follow the Core Code. The Core Code is a Baaghil product, which is a think tank on brand. It's a global think tank on brand. And we're more than happy to assist you and help you as much as we can and bring the best knowledge to you so you can strive and thrive and just remember one thing: your passion is what takes you far, and your skill is what delivers. But remember one thing very important: your integrity is what builds the brand.
Do you think that Baqil, maybe part of your plan, maybe in future, that you can like present some workshops or some boot camp?
Well, for me, it's I have put a commitment that, and unfortunately, COVID took place. My commitment is to raise the bar in the Arabian region. I am an
Perfect.
Arab, and I'm proud to be an Arab, and I believe we are equal to the West.
Mm-hmm.
And my hope and my biggest dream is in the startups and not on the SMEs and the corporate, because unfortunately, ego has hit hard.
Yes.
The startup are far more modest, and they wish to learn and excel. And I really, really, from the clubhouse and the Twitter, I have big hopes on these young generations because they're listeners, they're open, they embrace change, and so on. And I love them dearly. And I dream that I can pursue. Even my secretary is always in a war with me. She calls me Baaghil Clubhouse now. And I even tell her that I have a duty. I have to be in there. I have to share. So every break I have from my sessions, I run to Clubhouse, and she says, "So when are you going to sign this? When are you going to sign this?" I said, "Don't worry. I will. I will. I will. I will." But it's a commitment for me, and it's part of my journey to fulfill this youth and their dreams, because they are the ambassador of Arabia.
In fact, Baqil, you create your own tribe, by the way, in Clubhouse. I just follow and listen from Twitters, from another Clubhouse, I mean, from another rooms in the Clubhouse talking about you. So you already establish your person branding in a Clubhouse, and you create your own impact. And I can see that, I can feel it. So I think this is the perfect time, as you said, to raise the bar of the awareness about brand and branding in our generation. There is no more excuse. We have the open knowledge, and we have such persons, people, experts like you, Baqil, and we can communicate with them directly and easily. And thank you for this opportunity you give it to
If
us to
Jafar,
share your knowledge with others.
if I've shared something before I leave,
Yeah, sure.
4 days ago, I received a message on my Instagram after a month of Clubhouse sharing things. And it's from a lady that works in the fashion business. And she sent me a message, and she said, it was difficult on my heart. She sent me a first message, and she said, "I'm quitting." And I said, "Why are you quitting?" And then she goes, "Because I cannot survive." I gave her the advice just 2 days ago. She sent me a message, and she said, "You saved me." To me, this is what I live for. And I just wanted to share this. Thank you.
Thank you, Baqil, because you create your own impact, and if for everybody that follow you, that your even small quote, small feedback, small answer that really impact people's, and I think this is like ni'mah from Allah, that that blessing from God, that you have that ability to create that impact in your audience, and your responsibility is not end in Clubhouse at all. It will
Inshallah.
affect in all platforms. And as Ms. Nada said, we love you. Of course, we love you because you're adding value. You are not waiting, for something. Based on that, you give us like information or your knowledge. You give us all your, what they call it, feeling, experience, your heart. You give it to us. And of course, as people, and we engaging with you, we said, God bless you, and we have to continue chatting. We have to continue debating, because debating that will open, new rooms of thinking, and we have to start changing. There's no another option, especially in this crucial time. We have to rethink again. We have to communicate. We have to create our own community with Mr. Baqil, with other people that they have that passion to change and create like a positive energy and uplift and raising up the awareness of brand and branding as a real definition. It's not like cocktail mix up what we have, unfortunately. The future is, as you said, in startups and in new generation. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Baaghil.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and inshallah I serve you and I serve the others. Thank you
100%. Thank you for your time, Baaghil, and see you in Clubhouse, of course.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye. Bye.